The day after before. The streets were uncommonly quiet for a weekday morning. The sun streamed in gentle rays, yet the city's buzz was hushed, replaced with a palpable tension. Everyone knew that today was unlike any other. It was the day after before. In a small apartment, Clara sat by her window, sipping a lukewarm cup of coffee. She reminisced about the events leading up to yesterday and the choices that had brought the city to this defining moment. The night before, a meteor had passed dangerously close to Earth. What made it significant was not its size or the threat it posed, but the peculiar electromagnetic waves it emitted. For a brief moment, everyone had experienced a shared dream, a dream so vivid, it was almost a collective memory. The streets below were filled with people whispering, discussing the intricacies of the dream they had shared. Every person had seen a different scenario, yet they were all interlinked, making sense only when combined. At the heart of the city stood the old clock tower, a relic from an era gone by. Yesterday, it had chimed 13 times at midday, a phenomenon it had never done before. Some said it was because of the meteor, others believed it was an omen. Clara decided to head down to the town square. As she walked, snippets of conversations reached her ears, and it was evident that the dream had affected more than just sleep. Relationships had been mended, long-held secrets were revealed, and people seemed to have gained a clarity of purpose. In the square, a large screen displayed interviews with scientists, philosophers, and spiritual leaders from around the world. They were all attempting to interpret the significance of the shared dream. Some believed it was a glimpse into an alternate universe, others thought it was a message from a higher power, and a few dismissed it as a mere anomaly of the mind. As Clara stood there absorbing the varying theories, an old woman approached her. Her eyes held a mysterious twinkle, and she said, "Child, don't seek answers from them. The dream was a mirror, reflecting our deepest desires and fears." "What did you see?" Clara thought back to the dream. She had been in a vast library, where every book represented a decision she had made. Some books were old and dusty, others were vibrant, but one was yet to be written. The old woman nodded as if she understood. "That book, my dear, is tomorrow. The day after before has given us insight, but it's up to us to write our future." The old woman's words resonated with Clara. She realized that while the dream had offered a unique perspective, it was the choices made today that would shape tomorrow. As the day wore on, the city slowly returned to its usual rhythm, but there was a newfound sense of unity and purpose. People started collaborating, sharing their fragments of the dream to piece together a bigger picture. By nightfall, a sense of calm enveloped the city. The day after before had brought revelations and introspections. But above all, it reminded everyone of the fragile beauty of the present and the infinite possibilities that lay in the realm of tomorrow. By the time a thin trail of smoke snaked its way from the old wooden cabin to the charcoal sky, signaling that its lone inhabitant was awake. Deep within a dense forest, untouched by civilization's grasp, it was a place of solace and deep reflection. Ilara, a woman of undeniable age yet sprightly vigor, had lived in this cabin for decades. She wasn't a recluse by any means, rather, she was a keeper of secrets and the guardian of time. In her possession was an ancient hourglass, unlike any other. Its sands did not merely mark the passing seconds but held the power to manipulate time itself. One day, a knock echoed through her humble abode. Opening the door, she found a young man, panting, his eyes filled with desperation. "Are you the timekeeper?" he asked, his voice shaking. Elara nodded, ushering him in. "What brings you to my doorstep?" The man took a moment to catch his breath before speaking. "I need more time. I've made mistakes, missed opportunities. I want to go back and correct them." Elara gently placed the hourglass on the table. "Time is not a toy to be played with," she began. "Each grain of sand represents a moment, a choice. By altering one, you risk disrupting the natural order of things." The man's eyes fixated on the hourglass, desperation evident in his voice. "I need to set things right. Please." Sighing deeply, Elara gave the man a stern look. "Very well, but heed my warning. By the time you realize the true nature of your actions, things may never be the same." She flipped the hourglass, and the room began to spin. The young man felt a pull, and soon he was standing in his past, watching key moments of his life play out. Armed with the knowledge of his future, he began to change things, avoided fights, pursued lost loves, took missed opportunities. The world around him began to morph and shift with each change he made. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. Finally, the man returned to the present, eager to see the results of his meddling. But to his horror, he found a world unrecognizable. Faces he once knew no longer recognized him. Opportunities he thought he had secured slipped through his fingers like sand. The weight of his actions crushed him. Desperate, he returned to the forest, searching for Elara's cabin. But no matter how much he searched, the cabin eluded him. Days turned into weeks, and finally, in a state of utter despair, he collapsed. Awakening with a start, he found himself back in Elara's cabin, the hourglass resting in its original position. Elara stood over him, her expression unchanged. "By the time you sought to change the past, you lost the present," she said, her voice dripping with wisdom. The man, tears streaming down his face, nodded. "I understand now. The present is a gift, shaped by our past choices, good or bad." Elara smiled gently. "Go now. Live in the now. For by the time you realize the value of a moment, it's already a memory." With newfound clarity, the man left the cabin, embracing the world with all its imperfections, understanding the true nature of time. And deep within the forest, Elara, the guardian of time, continued her eternal vigil, waiting for the next seeker of lost time. An eternal friendship. Amid the swirling nebulae and twinkling stars, two celestial beings danced gracefully, weaving intricate patterns through the vastness of space. Their names, Eliana and Leo, were as old as the universe itself, yet their friendship was as fresh as a newly formed star. For eons, these two had journeyed together, watching galaxies form and stars explode. They witnessed the birth of planets and the evolution of life. But their most treasured moments were those spent simply in each other's company. On one such occasion, they floated over a young planet, awash with the blues and greens of life. Waterfalls cascaded into crystal-clear lakes, and forests covered vast stretches of the land. "It's beautiful," Eliana whispered, her voice like the gentle hum of a distant star. Leo nodded, his gaze fixed on a particular spot on the planet. "Look there," he pointed towards a mountain peak where two creatures stood, their hands entwined. "They remind me of us." Eliana looked closer and saw two humans, gazing at the horizon, seemingly lost in their own world. "They do have a certain resemblance," she chuckled. They watched as the humans journeyed through life, facing challenges and celebrating victories. Their bond seemed unbreakable, much like Eliana and Leo's own connection. As the eons passed, the celestial duo witnessed countless civilizations rise and fall. They saw the progression of technology, the evolution of cultures, and the deepening complexity of life. Yet, through it all, their bond remained unshaken. However, one day, Leo appeared distant. His usually vibrant aura seemed dim. Eliana approached him, concern evident in her eyes. "What troubles you?" Leo looked at the vast expanse of space around them. "We've witnessed so much, yet we remain unchanged. Do you ever wonder if there's an end for us?" Eliana floated closer, intertwining her essence with his. "Change is inevitable for those bound by time. But we, my dear Leo, are eternal. And so is our friendship." Leo's aura brightened a bit. "But what if one day, one of us fades away?" Eliana smiled, her luminosity piercing the darkness. "Then the other will carry the memory, ensuring that our bond lives on." They continued their dance, drawing comfort from each other's presence. And as they twirled and weaved through the cosmos, they left behind a trail of stardust, a testament to their unbreakable bond. As millennia turned into eons, and eons into an immeasurable span, Eliana and Leo remained, always together, always inseparable. In their dance, they found solace, in their bond, they found eternity. And in their journey, they discovered the true meaning of an eternal friendship.